Good morning and welcome to your last lesson of maths for this week. We are on the 5th of February. Can you believe it? Goodness me. Okay, so our warm up for this morning, I would like you first of all to write 1/2 as a percentage. I would like you to calculate 0.8 multiplied by 6. Number 3, what are the coordinates of the point that you can see on the 4 quadrants? And number 4, write down 2 factors of 12. You'll be doing this in your head on a piece of paper. Can you please pause the video now before we discuss the answers on the next slide? So here are your answers. Number 1, write 1/2 as a percentage, it should be 50%. Number 2, calculate 0.8 multiplied by 6, 0.48. So you're using the knowledge that you already know that 8 times 6 is 48, but 0.8 is 10 times smaller. So therefore, you divide 48 by 10 to make that answer also 10 times smaller. Number 3, what are the coordinates of the point? It was -3, 0. And number 4, write down 2 factors of 12. So any 2 factors, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, and 3 and 4. Well done if you got those correct. So because you completed your hot task yesterday, this means that today you are going to be starting some new learning, and it is new learning altogether as well because you've not previously done algebra in any of the year groups. So today is going to be an introduction to algebra and discuss some of the objectives that we'll be looking at and the vocabulary that we'll be using throughout this unit of work. So as you can see, we have some vocabulary here. So we've got one-step function, input, output, expressions, substitution, formula, equation, and rule. And all of these will start to make sense as we go through my turn, your turn chanting, and as we go through the definitions as well. And then you'll hopefully be able to complete your independent task, whether it be on your paper pack or on Teams. Just before we do that though, I would like you to think about this question. In your mind, just reflect for a moment. What do you know about algebra? Do you already know anything about it? Do you recognise any of those words that we just looked at? Just take a moment now and then press play when you are ready. So you may have written down some of that, those things that you already knew about algebra, and hopefully now with these words and these definitions, some of those ideas that you had in your head might make more sense. Okay, so first word is input, your turn. And now the definition is the number that first goes into the function machine. The word is output, your turn. And the definition is the answer. The word is expressions, your turn. The definition is a sum that uses the conventions of algebra. The word is substitution, your turn. And the definition is putting numbers in place of letters to calculate the value of an expression. The words are one-step function, your turn. And the definition is it performs just one operation on the input. The word is formula, your turn. So this is where the unknown value is a specific number. The word is equation, your turn. And the definition is a mathematical rule or relationship that uses letters to represent amounts which can be changed. So this is your first task, and your objective is to give and explain the meaning of words in context. So these are the new words that we've just explored and their definitions, so hopefully you'll have a better idea of which word belongs to which definition. And this exercise is important because we'll be able to familiarise ourselves with these words, and when we do come across them in the unit, we'll be familiar with the word and we'll have some understanding of what's expected of us. So you should pause the video now, complete your independent task, whether it be on Teams or on your paper pack, and then resume the video to see the answers, and then you can edit and improve. Good luck! So you should have joined input to the number that first goes into the function machine. You should have joined output to the answer. You should have joined expressions to a sum that uses the conventions of algebra. You should have joined substitution to putting numbers in place of letters to calculate the value of an expression. So even when we think about substitution on a football game, you are swapping the players. So you're literally swapping the numbers in place of a letter to calculate the sum. You should have joined one set function to it perform just one operation on the input. Formula should have been joined to where the unknown value is a specific number, and equation should be joined to a mathematical rule or relationship that uses letters to represent amounts which can be changed. So well done if you got those all correct or most of them correct. And if you didn't, this is now your opportunity to go and improve your work. You've completed your vocabulary task as part of your little harvest task to familiarise yourself with the types of questions that we'll be exploring in this unit of work. I'd like you to look at these 3 different types of questions. And it's really important that in algebra you understand that for each number they put into a function machine, there is an output, and we know that the output is the answer and the input is the number that goes through the function. So you can see here that 50 is the input, and what's happening in the function is that you add 5 and the output is the answer. So I'd like you to have a go at A and B knowing that. Again here, this question, you're going to complete the table for the given function machine, and you can see on your team's worksheet that there is already one completed for you. I'll just go through this again to explain. Input, I'm going to start at number 1. So here input would be 1. 1 multiplied by 3 is 3. And then with the answer I go next to my next step in my function machine, and then I have to do 3 take away 4. So therefore my output is -1, and I'll put that in my table just there. You have a go at working with the inputs 2, 3, 4 and 5 and thinking about that output. And also it's really important to think about now, how would I know if I didn't know what the input was, how could I work that out? So you can do the inverse by working backwards to explain what the input was. So for instance, if I had my -1, I add 4, which gives me 3, and then I divide by 3, which gives me 1. So you can see how the inverse, going backwards, gives us our input, but the input working forwards gives us our output. Now I'd like you to look at this next question. Mo uses cubes to write expressions for function machines. Now this is an example, and also this is an example. And what the question is asking us to do is to represent the function machines how we would like to, but the output for each machine is A. Sorry, forgive me, what is the output for each machine when the input is A? So for instance, here we have the input and it's represented as a cube, as a concrete material, but we have Y here as the abstract. So Y plus 4 will end out, our output will be Y plus 4. And again here you can see that the input can be represented with a concrete material, the cube, or Y, the abstract. And Y has been multiplied by 4 in this function. So we have 4 lots of Y, which we can represent as 4Y. I would like you to have a go now at doing these questions here using A as the input. Remember, Y was the input there. So you should be able to look at these representations to help you complete your question. Good luck with those, guys. Pause quickly, go back. I forgot to tell you to pause. And we are going to look through the answers now. So you should have your work open, hopefully with the answers beside, so that you can edit and improve if you did not get these correct. So A, you had 50, which was your input, the number that you began with, and you are adding 5, and your output, then your answer is 55. With B, your input, your starting number was 50, and the rule was to subtract 7, and so therefore your output was 43. So well done if you got those correct. And if not, you can edit and improve now. This next question, to complete the table for the given function machine. So our input, we did 1 together, which gave us -1, and then 2 was 2, 3 was 5, 4 was 8 for the output, and 5 was 11. Let's just run through how we did that again. So 2 was our input, 2 multiplied by 3 is 6, and 6 subtract 4 is 2. So therefore our output is that. I just want you to think now, what do you notice about the sequence of numbers? Yes, there is a difference of 8. Sorry, difference of 8 because I was looking at 8. A difference of 3. Move on to the next question. Okay, so with this one here, guys, you might have thought, oh goodness, this looks a bit more complicated. But actually, if we used these representations at the top, we could have got our answers quite easily. So, use merge method to represent function machines. What is the output for each machine when the input is A? So my input is A, I'm adding 2, so therefore my output is A add 2. Again, with this one, my input is A, and I multiply by 3, which then gives me the output of 3A, which is 3 lots of A. Well done for completing that little harvest task in our introduction to algebra. Keep this vocabulary in your mind, keep practicing it, keep consolidating it, so that when we start our new unit of algebra next week, you will be familiar and you will have some understanding of the types of words that are being used in the videos and on the worksheet. Well done, guys. Have a lovely weekend after this afternoon as well.